So the progress is,
Well,
a
just
lot
wanna
of
see if
progress
cable's
happening
ready.
at the site.
See if cable's ready. Are we good?
Good, okay.
A lot of progress has been happening. As far as the building, the second floor, they've got their HVAC rough inspection, their electrical rough inspection. They're doing their plumbing, I believe, Wednesday for the rough.
Well, the rough inspection on the HVAC on the second floor is only to insulate the ductwork. You know, all the condensate lines aren't done, all the, you know, this pressure testing that hasn't been done, so it's not like a rough that it's complete, but, so. But the ductwork's in there and they gotta insulate it, so.
It's definitely moving at a good clip at this pace. The electrical is going in fast and furious. We're having good coordination now with the people that are working for the 911. We've had some on-site meetings to have everybody on the same page, so we actually know what's going on. So 911's had their electricians in and start doing some work. Griffin's been doing work. Signet's going to be coming as soon as we get some drywall up to start doing. They're not only doing our access control, they're doing the MEX as well and all their low voltage as well. So it's starting to happen. It is happening at this point. The biggest thing, which is a major problem now, is the windows.
We heard.
So I've gone back, I don't know if I should elaborate, but we're looking at August for an installation for the windows, and then September for the storefront, the doors and stuff, for the light doors. The filed subbidder has been playing games. I've been on phone calls, I've been on emails. They won't respond to a direct question, which after spending many back and forths, I said, prove to me that you ordered this material when you say you did, and it'll be a lot easier to accept this, that they're blaming it on a good economy, everybody's busy, they're all trying to do things, and it's holding up the lead times. Show me when you ordered it, and it's a lot easier to swallow some news like this if you can prove it, because I have a very funny feeling that they never ordered it, and now we're playing catch up. So really can't do much at this point with them. If we fire them, we have to hire somebody else, and then they have to come out and measure and order. And I was looking at trying to spend some money for a grant out the Olive Day, and I was told from that window person that's a minimum of 12 weeks right now for windows, so we'd start over the process. So we're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. Might as well just run the course with them.
But that doesn't prevent us from doing whatever else needs to get done.
No, but it is a major blockage. You can't make the building weather tight.
The building, but it doesn't stop us from continuing all of the interior work that we're doing.
No, it does not, but it doesn't help either. For finishes, you don't want to do any finish work near an opening.
But you could put plywood.
Still
You
drywalling,
could put plywood up or something to block it.
It's already
and
there.
it's already there.
Okay.
But you also don't have necessarily security either, because on the first floor, some of the doors that they have to put in, it's still wide open. Which,
You put plywood there too.
So you said this is doors too, or just?
doors and windows.
Doors and-
Not the heavy-duty fire doors, but like the front vestibule, the main entrance, that's them. Some of the other doors are them, but the majority of the doors are definitely metal fire doors that have already been installed per the building with the journal that was hit. Most of them are his, but all the accent doors, and so that is a big roadblock at this point. We don't know what to do. I've tried threatening to have our council get involved. They've called DCAM just to see if there's anything I can do to try to make them want to move, and they basically told me not to talk to them again, that they work for the general contractor, and they don't want to respond, because I was trying to work on behalf of the town and try to throw the town behind it, saying, we're not happy. The way we can get back on it is give them a horrible DCAM review at the end of it, but it still is going to hold up other parts of the completing of the project, and which technically, if we're hoping to get in October, if they don't put those windows until September and they can't do everything else, that they have to have all the trim, the painting and all that stuff, it can screw up our schedule. So yes, they can still progress, but they can't finish without having that stuff completed. So first floor, they've been making great strides there as well. The sprinkler fitters, the plumbers, all the trades are there except for Signet right now for the, low voltage stuff. All the building trades, they've been, I shouldn't say all of them, all the mechanical trades have been in there working diligently. So it's really starting to fill in now. There's multiple trucks worth of drywall, all the drywall sitting separated in different piles. Once they get a few more odds and ends completed, they're gonna be allowed to hang some of the drywall on one side, but they have to go through the process of getting everything signed off, checked, inspected. So the roof is 100% done now. The cricket was installed, so that's completed at this point. Stuff from my world, the site work. We've told you last time we had a big problem with the antenna location. We made a lot of modifications. We actually had the civil engineer who was on record of the job came out because we had some frustration with each other. And once having a field visit, he realized what we were seeing and dealing with, so he understood where we were coming from. So at this point, he is going to give us some relief on some of the things they wanted. And he's supposed to come out with some sketches. So site work is progressing. That's going well. A couple of things have happened. They had the pad, the HVAC pad has now doubled in size almost. It was not almost, it's probably 40% larger. One thing that Bob proposed to the architect and the general contractor today was that they're calling for a 12-inch thick pad, 30 by 30, with a 2-foot haunch on the edges. It's a massive, I mean, it seems almost overkill, so they're gonna try to reduce the size, maybe make it 6 inches, and Bob suggested putting some sort of insulation underneath. Try to come up with an alternative to, because we have paid for a pad a certain size that they approved, that was part of the Mitsubishi submittal. Well, we found out the reason why it didn't work is they put these snow covers on the ends for letting the air circulate better. And they each take up X amount of space, so that made the pad a lot larger. But going larger means a change order. So we're trying to figure out a way that we can go larger without costing much more, because we already paid for 12 inches. If we can take the 12 inch, make it 6 and spread it out, we're hoping to.
12 inch seems a little excessive, there's not that much weight on it.
You said it was 2 feet, didn't you?
2 feet on the outer edges,
Yeah.
12 inches in the main.
That's
I
why
mean,
it was like, this seems way overkill.
Way overkill, yeah, I agree.
So, and there are also gonna be a change order for the generator pads, because the generators are larger, the one generator is larger, and then how it's all set up, there's gonna make one continuous pad, because there's only gonna be like a foot in between. So you figure it's just, so they're gonna be going after us for extra materials and labor to install the rebar and everything on the generator pads. Let's see, the tower, the pad is in. I just told them to come on back to do the backfill and have it tested, because we can't finish some of our stormwater until they put their gravel and have that all compacted, so trying to get all the pieces going together.
Who's doing the electrical on that? Is it Griffin too?
On the tower,
Because that grounding's gotta get done before you backfill it.
they're coming to do the grounding and do the, not Signet, ICC is doing all their own grounding. They filed all that. They to date have been extremely thorough. I'm not worried about them trying to doing it.
I just don't want you to backfill.
They wanted to put the grounding in. I asked them not to, because we had a massive disaster on our hands trying to figure out how to fix all that 36-inch pipe. So I asked them to hold off on doing any of the grounding until we did what we needed to do, so we didn't disrupt what they just did and have to pay to fix that again. So they are planning on doing the grounding and then doing, so they have to bring in a civil engineer to, as they're filling it, but they do know that that's part of what they have to do in their scope of work.
Is it the Signet's doing the grounding?
No, the ICC, Industrial Communication, they're the tower vendor and they're doing all their own grounding. I've asked the contractor that we brought in for the lightning protection to come out and site soon, because we're looking to do the sidewalks in the rear of the building, on the side of the building that faces Sharon Ave. We're looking to do that concrete work, including the generator pads and the HVAC pad. We have to get the gas line in before we do it, because it goes underneath. So we're trying to get a lot of people to move fast, which is challenging, but it's been happening. So as far as site work goes, we're gaining ground on it, and we luckily by having the civil come out, we've proved to them a couple of things, so we're gonna reduce some of the scope of work we have to do, which obviously we're not gonna come under budget, but it's helping the budget for site work. Let's see. Brian gave me this to hand out. I just met with Brian. He's reviewing the monthly invoice. There's a couple of questions. I guess we're gonna have to, one of them is there's a change order for the pre-action system. It was originally, I think, 12,000. It's down to 6309.56. He's recommended that we go ahead and approve it, but my question is do we own it or does the MEC own it? Because the pre-action is for the MEC. We demanded that they kept the pre-action in as the town of Norfolk. So we do have some ownership, but it's for the MEC, and it wouldn't be going in there unless it was for the MEC. Our system is all wet, we don't have pre-action. We gain 95% of the pre-action is all MEC. We do have our server room, which takes up a small space in that, which we do have the benefit of it. So I guess I'd like the board to figure out if we should pay for the $6,300 or we should ask the MEC to pay for the $6,300. And we should do this because they're also meeting as the MEC board tomorrow, so they can be made aware of it.
Bring it up with-
Yeah, bring it up
Gary and I
with
can
them.
bring it up with the board tomorrow.
Okay.
So, some other change orders that Brian,
Well, I mean, at worst, it should be a shared expense. I mean, that shouldn't all be all on the town. Now, I don't know how one wants to prorate this, 95/5 or 50/50 or whatever, but it should not all be on the town.
okay,
And it shouldn't, all be on the MEC either. So hopefully we can mitigate that and come up with some mutually agreeable solution, but that should be a shared cost.
just because I'm kind of going out of order on the change orders, but might as well continue on with the change orders, so we'll keep that off the vote. Brian did also recommend it for approval, the roof curbs, which were the final piece of the roofing that was all extra. So the roof curbs are 61/16/77. They're getting us a credit of 741.84. Here, let me just hand this out. Sorry. Okay. Sorry.
Didn't we already vote on the curbs? On the cricket and everything?
What's that?
Didn't we already vote on the cricket?
I thought we did.
On the cricket, did we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thought we did.
All right, so the cricket's approved, so they're gonna give us 741 for a credit. The 6309 is in limbo right now. And the back and forth over and over about the forgotten power for the gel cells, for their toilet flushes. It went from 10 and change to 59.16. Brian agrees to that's a better price and that we should do it. They needed an answer of the day. It was under 10, so I said to go ahead and do it. I'm gonna let you guys know because they were trying to get that completed. It was something they have to have power for the full toilets, so it wasn't a luxury item. It was something and they were there working on it, so I unanimously voted for it and said I would discuss it with you guys.
It was unanimous?
It's unanimous, yeah.
Yes, sir. So I guess at this point, we don't even need to vote on this one yet because, well, I guess we need to vote as a board for the 39R, but the other, we're gonna hold the 53R, and we don't need to vote on taking a credit, and we've already voted on 49.
Just to cover our bases, I would feel more comfortable if we voted the additional roof curbs in case you can't find it in prior meeting notes.
Okay, so vote the,
Won't hurt us to vote it again.
Right.
so vote, do you wanna vote the entire 17.6, and we'll figure out the MEC, and then we'll apply whatever we agree with on the MEC towards the invoice?
Yeah.
I move to approve change order 49, 54, 53R, 39R, to total of $17,600.53.
Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it's approved.
To keep everybody on the same page, there's now another change order just came in today that we're gonna try to get out of. They're having a problem with the drains for the condensate from some of the HVAC equipment on the second floor. Brian's trying to figure out a way around, but the plumber wants 760703. We're gonna hold that, but if it becomes a timing situation and we don't, meet for a month and they need to do this, cause they actually are proposing to core through the second floor into the first floor and do piping. Just want you guys to let you know that this might be a necessity and it might be a time sensitive because they're trying to move, so gonna let you know if it's okay with you guys, if this ends up being the only solution, go ahead and authorize them to do it. It's under 10, we get that.
7,000 and change.
$7,607.03.
Specifically, what is that for?
There's certain areas on the second floor that the HVAC installer and the plumbing contractor are having coordination of how they can get these cassettes create condensation. They have to drain somewhere.
Right.
There's an island in there that is landlocked and there's not a way to get it elsewhere because they're fighting gravity and they're also fighting walls in the way. The solution is from the plumber, as of this point, and the general contractors, to core a floor, basically a floor drain, so everything can go in there and go gravity out. Brian's looking into other solutions as far as a way that we can tie into another drain, but they've spent some time trying to figure this out, and they feel this is the only solution, so Brian's gonna, now that he's seen it, he's going to work on it, but he definitely, if they have to do this, it has to be done soon. But Brian's supposed to get back to us. He said he's gonna review everything and attempt to provide a second solution to it, because the drawings aren't working.
I don't think it's gonna have to get done.
Pardon?
You don't think so?
No, we just went over it. I don't think it's gonna have to get done, but I'd vote it in just in case, but, we just went over it and it seems like a no-brainer, honestly, how to fix it, so. They're running the pipe down and it's hitting a piece of ductwork, but they can drop it below the ductwork and continue and then drop it through the floor where they're supposed to, so. And I think the misunderstanding is the HVAC contractor thinks that it's the plumber that's supposed to be running this pipe down, but it's on his drawings. So he's responsible for it, so when he understands it's his responsibility, I think he's gonna take care of it,
Then why are we gonna vote?
just in case.
I'd like just to
Well,
vote
it's under
that
10,000 anyway, right?
it's
So-
under 10,000.
Yeah,
I don't wanna have to wait a month
right.
in case it needs to be done. If it can be done in an alternate solution, that's great, and we don't owe anything. But if we need to have a solution, whether I can either try to get I just don't wanna start
wanna hold up
going.
the
The other
process.
day, it was one of those things that they were there working and they
Right.
needed this response.
Yeah.
So I did it, but I don't wanna make a pattern of doing that because we are. So I'd like this to say, can I just give you guys a heads up that I might have to approve that unless you want me to convene a meeting right away, or just,
No.
I don't wanna hold the job.
I just make a motion that Matt be authorized to make a field decision on that 7607.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it's unanimous.
All right. So, one thing on the, on here, which we need to discuss, which is the pending change request. Brian doesn't feel that the 72 is warranted. Mike feels that it is. Brian says he's not gonna, suggest we go after it. Cresta feels that from the delay of all the information to get the building enclosed, that he had to heat the building extraordinary amounts to, have the concrete cure because there's no siding. There's a lot of things that, because there was a lot of information lacking, that I feel that they're both at fault. I don't think it's fair that we have to pay $72,000. He's taking $16,000 off of that, because that's what he factored into his wintertime conditions, which kind of makes sense, because on a building like this, it's about a budget of $16,000 to $20,000 to heat, and that's similar size, but it obviously, so I think his number was realistic, but it also doesn't have windows and stuff in there, so I think it might have been a little bit low, but it's $72,000 that he has receipts for, invoices for, rental equipment, additional rental equipment, so they can continue working. I don't know how you guys wanna, if we wanna just continue to table this. Cressa's been asking, myself, and he recently wrote an email to Jack asking where we stand with this. I don't know. My suggestion is try to come up with a settlement number and see if we can't split it or do something, because
Is part of his anticipation for this cost got to do with windows and doors?
it was this was supposed to be the fuel and the equipment to keep that building heated for the wintertime. So I imagine the windows and doors would not have been in there, but there would have been plywood on there. So we couldn't put plywood in because we didn't have sheathing on, because we didn't have pads poured, and we didn't have a lot of things, and a lot of it was waiting on stair questions being answered and other questions being answered. So
So how does he come up with 72, 241, 72?
It slips.
he has,
That's what he spent.
he actually turned in every single slip. The thing that, only thing that's arguable about is the amount of time the person, he billed the fuel, he billed the labor to fill and to go pick up the fuel, billed the labor to go pick up propane. So he has everything itemized, literally, I think of all the different slips, and his hours for his labor to resupply and then continue maintaining it. So I'm not quite sure how you guys want to do it. I don't know what to do on this one. It's kind of, he carried 16 for general conditions, and his number is far surpassed that. He said the total number again was 72, 241, 72. That was including all the labor and all the fuel and the extra heaters and everything. He wants to be paid for that. Brian says he doesn't want to touch that. I don't know what to do with that.
Does Brian want to pay him
What does that
anything?
mean, doesn't want to touch that?
Brian said that he doesn't want to, I can't speak for Brian. He just told me, because I was under the impression he was coming today. I found out about 4:15 that he wasn't coming today. So we went over these invoices, because I went over the MEX invoices with him and the town of Norfolk's invoices with him, and he dropped it on me that he wasn't gonna make it today, because he said he wasn't invited, or didn't know about it. I said, I don't know what to tell you.
I make a motion, we table that till the next meeting, because this is ridiculous that we're hearing about this, and he's not even here to discuss it.
Okay.
Part of this is his problem.
Okay.
So we should invite, sounds like we should invite Cresta and obviously Brian to the next meeting.
Both of them should probably be here and discuss.
And get the steel cages and put them in the, right out there.
Well, unless there's something that shows up that I'm not aware of, I'm not voting for $56,000 worth of additional expenses on that. No way. This problem wasn't created by us,
It was 100% not Norfolk's issue on this,
so.
100%. We have fault in other areas. Tired of hearing about the site work. If anything, if he wants to push that, we can add 2 months to the job. But that's about the only thing that we've done that held up the job was the site work. And so,
Anything that was held up as far as site work, though, we gave it to him to do.
yes.
So he doesn't have an argument there.
But the only argument comes from the architect on the whole
Well,
site
let
work.
them argue it out.
But I'm just letting you know, I
It's
mean.
not our bill, is the way I look at it.
That's fine. One thing I was not, didn't realize I was gonna come to this meeting late, because I have a file upstairs. Let's just do actually, 3 things. General conditions. Job's over. Our 12 months are up. We're out of general condition money. Job's still going in full effect. They still have all the equipment there, they still have all the office resources, everything going on. Brian suggested that we renegotiate our general conditions with the general contractor, because we're not, part of that money was the $16,000 divided by 12 for heat over the 12 months. They just took the total amount it's gonna cost to have that job going, divided by 12. Now we're not paying for heat any longer. We met with Cresta yesterday, Todd, Jack, and myself. He provided the numbers today. He has a breakdown of how he actually came up with the general conditions. He's basically saying that it costs more than they had initially anticipated for general conditions, and the original estimate of general conditions was, it's right on here, for original general conditions were for $513,720, so divided by 12, that ends up being $3,000 a month, $42,000 a month. Mike said if we like to renegotiate, he'd gladly do it because he's going to seek more. He has an itemized breakout here of what he's actually spending. I don't agree with every single charge in here, but I'd say 95% of them I think are fine. There's a couple of them that are kind of fluffy, like a telephone expense, and there's a couple of, but they've added up to about $5,000-6,000. He said he'd be willing to leave it alone how it sits, or he'd like to renegotiate if we do want to change it, but he doesn't want to lose money. He wants to renegotiate and go up higher, and he can show us all the costs. So, suggestion that I have, I think the three of us have, is to let it go until October. I talked to Mike at the meeting today stating that we weren't anticipating having to do this. This is now 4 times 43,000 basically, because we're going July, August, September, October. Once that hits, and because the windows, if they're not in, and this is going further, we cannot afford to continue to do this. Like, this is a completely, we can't afford to do this, but the job's not done, and he still has to staff it and provide all that equipment there. The suggestion would be to leave it alone how it is and go through October.
Well, if he's asking for more money, I guess that's the right thing to do.
He said that he could show me all the receipts he spends. I don't know. My feeling on Mike is that he's been very good to the town. He's helped us out a lot. I don't think he's BSing us on that. But I don't think he's losing money either way, but I don't. So I suggest that we just leave it alone as it is for the next 4 months, because it might open up a can of worms and we end up paying more. So we need to vote that to continue on with the general condition payment.
We're not very, in a very good position to negotiate at this point.
No, we're not. We're gonna lose on all this, so I'm trying to minimize the loss.
Yeah, I don't know, at the end of the project, we go, well, obviously, we're gonna try and recoup some costs. We talked about there's plenty of blame to be shared around. I would think that the continuation of general conditions, we're gonna try and, I think what I'm trying to say is we have to pay them now, but at the end of the
Right.
project, hopefully, we're gonna be able to recover some costs from somewhere, but not that I'm saying I'm optimistic that we're gonna be successful, but we're gonna give it a try.
Absolutely. All right, so do you want to make a motion?
I make a
now?
motion to continue the general conditions as the same as the previous 12 months through October.
At the same
Through
rate.
the
October
same-
31st, is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, he bills them for the solid month, so yes, through the end of October, there'll be 4 more additional payments that we're gonna authorize at that monthly rate. After that, this job, if it's not done, it's gonna be damn close to being done, and it should not need the equipment or the staff or any of this stuff that's, so I make a motion to continue. Can you divide that by 12? Just so I can-
About 170 grand.
Or I was gonna give you the exact monthly payment, though.
It's a third of the 513.
Okay, so I make a motion to continue general payments up to 170 grand, or how about 175, that way we're completely covered?
It's a little over 170. 175 will cover it.
Make a motion of general conditions, 4 months, up to 175.
Second?
Second?
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Reluctant, yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Keeping
so,
good records on this, Matt?
yeah, I'm trying,
Redundant question?
I'm trying,
I know you are.
I'm trying.
I know you are.
So, in its draft form, it didn't have any money put on there for general conditions for our application, payment application, number 13, which is for the month of June. So without having extra on it, without the general conditions, 414, 504, 48. Now, if we're gonna put the general conditions back on there, so 414 plus 32, 42. 43. 414 plus 43 is 7. What is that?
It's 42,811.
So, no, 414,000, 504, 48 plus 43,000.
Say that number again.
414, 504, 48 plus 43,000.
457.
457, 316, 14.
Can I make a motion to approve up to paying $460,000? We now are going to review. I have a couple of things I put in there with Brian. He's going to deduct, but it's probably $10,000 worth. So if we said 460, it'll definitely be covered, and it should be more like 450. But once this gets ironed out, do I have permission to pay up to $460,000 for application 13?
Make a motion.
My motion.
One question, what is that?
These are the construction payments. This is for all what, this is.
General contractor.
General contractor payment,
Up to
and,
now.
but this says every subcontractor submits their invoices to him. He has to present them on here, how they present
Okay.
them. There are a couple of things, like they wanted 100% for the, fire, suppression finish installation, which they're not, so, but, the Costa Brothers wants $3,000 that they never did, so we're not gonna pay them that, and they also want $1,000 for closeout documents, which we don't have, so there are things that the general contractor has to turn what they request into us for review. So there are things in here that we've tried to cut out, so Brian will cut them out, so it will come under that number, but that's if worst case scenario, if Brian feels, cause it's his signature, then we vote on his signature, but since I don't have it, that'll be within there.
So Matt moved, did anybody second?
No, nobody seconded it.
Oh, what, no one seconded it?
Yeah, you made a question.
Yeah, well, because I thought we were getting to it. He always asks us any questions.
Yep.
I beat you to it.
So you made a
Second.
motion to authorize payments
Up to 460
up to 460.
for
Do I have a
application
second?
number 13.
Yep. Now, is there any further discussion?
Chuck? Any
No,
more
that was
discussion?
my question. so.
Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Unanimous.
Also, they put in, for that window company that doesn't wanna show up, they put in that payment application, which I don't even wanna vote on, for $7,300. I say we, for
For not showing
materials,
up?
for materials that they have to have. I do not feel that we should pay them whatsoever until we,
Probably not.
good, okay,
So Brian will strike that from that invoice.
okay.
Unless they put the job at the bottom of the list again. 'Cause we didn't pay us $7,000.
Want everybody to vote on this? There's one last change. It's Jeffrey T. Palumbo, not M. Palumbo. Other than that, I don't know where I get the T from.
I don't either.
Those beautiful seals were not included in the price. They wanna have a final design.
Is that appropriate or not? And not arguing about the person, that is not my issue. It's just, is this when the project started or when the project finishes?
George might have more
Yeah.
perspective on that.
He really hasn't been involved.
No,
No.
that's my point.
Yeah. I don't want to create a rift with you guys, but,
Well, I don't,
He'd clearly be on the next building, so,
yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
okay. I think that,
we're a three-person board, not a
Yes.
four-person board.
Yep, all right,
that's fine.
that's fine.
It's not personal in any way.
No, I just, I want.
Not at all. It's just, I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
I know in the other buildings that we did not do that.
We just weren't sure how to
Yep,
do that. so
Yeah,
we tried to do
we have not done that on the other
We're
buildings.
just being overly inclusive.
yeah,
Yeah, no, it was a nice thought,
Yeah.
nice gesture. I just, and as I say, it's not personal, it's just, I've not seen that before. It's always been, when the project was started, it involved, because there's always transition.
yeah.
There's always people
Yeah.
coming and going.
So, they're gonna give us, I'll have that struck from there.
Yep.
They're gonna give us a price for the seals on there, they were not included, which is, we're just getting a basic sign. Pressa seems to think they're $200 a piece, but until we have the final version, they don't wanna give us a price, cause they're gonna ship it out to whoever makes it to get the final price. They said they'd like to get two prices, one basic with no more changes and
This one. Yeah.
You already knew that.
Do you agree?
Yeah,
We just haven't done it that way. We've always, it's always been when the project started, because there's always
Right.
transition in that.
yeah.
That will be, that,
I will,
that other name won't be on the fire
Right.
project.
that person has weighed in on it, by the way, just so you're aware.
Sorry?
That person has weighed in on it.
Not on his name in particular.
No, but just in general, because I shipped it to everybody that had their name on there to make sure.
That's fine, that's fine.
Okay.
Well, I'm not trying to
No, I just,
start a problem on it, I mean, it's not a big deal. If this creates a rift, it's fine. I don't, it's not, my comment isn't intended to do that. It's just, I've not seen that ever done like that before. That's all.
so why don't I take that? You guys like the idea of having the two seals on there, because I will be extra. I don't know how much. Pressa seems to think they're a few $100s a piece.
I'd like this, I'd like the plaque to look nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
We saw the Franklin Fire plaque, I think had a nice, some nice seals on it.
I mean, if you look at the plaques that are on the HOD and the other buildings, right,
right,
exactly right.
no argument. Just wanted to try to make everybody, it was a touchy, like, didn't know how to feel that one.
And there were transitions in both those cases, so.
Okay. So we have that, so I'll get the final, because I sent her a couple other things. I misspelt, I put select man, not men, so I had to fix that, and I also had to fix another initial, so,
Should we say select person?
No,
so I'll get the final, and have you guys just, if you could just give me a check or, good for me, that way I can,
Yeah.
that'll be done. That's pretty much it on the police station.
motion adjourned.
We do have I came very late because I didn't leave a site,
I have a question you haven't covered.
sir.
Do we have any status in terms of the solar on the carports?
Spoke to the person today, Rich, and I have been working with them. I went in front of the planning board last 2 weeks ago. They did not like, one second, let me just go grab my piece of paper and the thing, and I'll show you exactly what they want me to do, and it'll be a lot easier. And I'll talk less, I promise.
We'll talk about you while you're gone.
Well, they're talking about eliminating that third one, which, that's the one that, the handicap parking is, and the main, sidewalk going into the building. Personally, I'd rather see it there just for the protection. If there's any ice that does come off of that thing, people walking from that parking lot into the building, there'd only be a short window of, no protection over their head.
Why were they against it?
Aesthetics.
Yeah.
They didn't think it looked good while you were driving up the road, but I went up there a couple times now, driving up the road, and there's the
I
wall.
was gonna say, I don't even think you could see it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that once it flattens out, that you'll be able to see it coming up Sharon Ave anyways, after I thought about it, you know.
Hmm. So you drove up looking at it in that perspective?
Right there.
So they don't want the front one?
I
Right.
do not want that one.
Yeah, and I was just saying to the committee that I didn't think you would even be able to see it coming, driving up Sharon Ave, which was one of their concerns.
There's some animosity in this entire project, and this is,
There's some animosity?
yes, from that board.
In what regard?
I think they're not crazy about the location of the project, they don't like the reuse of a building.
Well, the town voted that, that's
But
not
we're
the
past
jurisdiction.
that. I mean,
I agree.
But the one thing I couldn't, explain to them, this is gonna save the town money, and they wanted actual numbers, which two things, I didn't have it prepared because I don't have a finalized contract, because we're still trying to figure out the best savings. But also I didn't wanna get, because I was planning board, I didn't think it was necessary to share.
Economics.
Not on TV. That's
No,
part of the
but,
contract.
Then you'd be held to it.
Yeah.
So I explained to them that this is not only gonna save money, but it also helps save the vehicles, because they park vehicles here that, they're gonna have vehicles inside, but they'll also have vehicles they don't have to, they have to leave vehicles running right now because they don't have any shelter for them. This will help aid in that. It'll also, provide coverage for the officers coming and going. It'll, try telling this at covering the handicap spots too, and that'll make it easier for anybody that's handicapped to get into the building. But that was not happening on the front one. So they said they were fine with this. I could even look into making this larger. Spoke to the solar people today. They said there's just not really a way to make either of these larger, so that's going to be pretty much it for the design. So did tell them that I'm still looking to have on their drawings conduit placed there in case we ever have a change of heart. So that way, if we did want to at a later date put that solar in there, we'd have the provision in the ground, which is short money too, because we're already digging right there. It's just PVC pipe. We will run that at the same time. So, but that's kind of where we're at. We're still trying to figure out the economics behind it, because don't really want to sign a contract, because this whole smart thing, which is the new incentive, is not fully rolled out. So there's still a lot of questions, and we're trying to figure out the absolute best deal we can get for the town. So they're moving on. They're going to have another drawing with this removed, so I can go back in front of the planning board again on the 25th or 6th and sell this again. Richard asked them for some street views, mock-ups, and they said that they couldn't do that because it's the economics behind it, because I guess this costs quite a bit of money to have done, and they don't want to keep modifying this, but they'll have this removed and we'll be able to present it again. But the planning board indicated that they'd approve that in the solar, all the rest of the solar.
thank you.
One last thing, I just realized when I was running upstairs, we're still waiting on the sewage rights, which we've been working on with the legal team for the council. We still need those, because that could also hamper occupancy. David Luca has a team of their title people working on it, because how that park went, I guess it was very vague on who has what, so they've been trying a lot of work. They've been putting hours into this, trying to get this straightened out so we can have our formal agreement with the ILP. So,
Okay. Keep up the good work.
thanks. I have a, on the fire station, I have a invoice from Mr. Humes that I'd like you guys to discuss with you guys. So to date, Brian has billed us for 75%.
Matt, why don't we just, I'm happy to discuss as much as you want, but I would just suggest we table this until Brian comes to a meeting. If
Yep.
he wants to present a bill that I realize you have questions about, instead of you defending it, why don't we have Brian come and defend it at our next meeting?
So go ahead and just postpone paying this bill,
Yeah.
so,
Yes.
as long as I have your permission, okay. Then that's it for me.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else?
I'd just like to officially welcome Todd to the committee. The
Yep.
selectman appointed Todd to
Excellent.
building committee.
Thank you.
Lucky you.
He's happy to be here. He can,
I can tell.
What do you mean Matt volunteered me?
Next meeting.
I don't care, as long as it's 4 o'clock.
All right. I have a very busy schedule coming up.
Especially Tuesdays.
What's that?
Especially Tuesdays.
I'm gonna be away a lot. How about August 7th?
I'm available.
So, I'm gonna be away a lot, but I will be here August 7th.
Okay.
August 7th, 4 o'clock? 3:30?
No, yeah, yeah.
All right,
Is that
What?
the deal?
that's the deal. Tuesday, August 7th? Okay. You'll take care of posting it, Jack?
I will.
All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, meeting adjourned.